So, stepping into 2025, I started to work on big content for my YouTube channel. I got a tripod for Christmas, I started filming for my latest upload, but I started seeing something happening elsewhere that completely stole and overrid my attention. An impending ban on the ever-popular, often trending, always changing TikTok. Now, I won't sugarcoat things. The platform does have problems. The overabundance of ads and people trying to sell trending items because the platform incentivizes essentially being a DIY salesman. And though I partially see it as a problem, I think it doesn't necessarily take away from the positives, that TikTok's algorithm is more favorable to the user when it comes to engagement. So long as you make agreeable, worthwhile content that isn't obvious schlock, you'll get a considerable amount of attention. I started my TikTok journey doing fairly well done voice acting work on top of footage I took from Elden Ring, a video game about slaying bosses and such. I had a narrative thought up, I wrote my own scripts, my lines, recorded everything, and did everything myself, besides obviously including music and sound effects I couldn't necessarily make on my own. And this was a fun experience, but just by the nature of not having better tools at my disposal, being fairly new, it fared decent, not bad, not great. I was happy with it. But then at the start of this year, we got the presidential inauguration. For important context, I sit in the middle politically. I take in ideology and beliefs from both aisles of the political spectrum, which has, I feel, resulted in me having a unique and well-adjusted core of values. One that allows me to see bias and acknowledge whether or not some takes or some views are entirely too radical. And what's happened in the past few weeks has been considerably awful. The mass indiscriminate deportations, the dissolution of the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department, as well as other various unnecessary changes that didn't need to happen or kind of just put our country back as far as evolving as a society. But as far as the TikTok ban went, I wanted to voice my frustration. 2.05 billion people used TikTok. Some of them were artists, historians, musicians, tastemakers of my and the next generation as well, with communities that absolutely cannot be replicated to the same extent because algorithmically it works different from platform to platform. Where sites like Facebook, Instagram, and X all run on whatever's generally trending, typically outrage and the anger of people, political, societal, or petty discourse, TikTok did relatively the same, just without a political bias or template. Anyone from any walk of life could garner a significantly large and engaged following just by making objectively good content. It could take the random, the unknown, and throw a fair and just spotlight on them. And it was for the people to decide whether it would be successful, as it should be. So what did I do to voice my frustration with it potentially being banned? I became the host of the Blind Eye Transmission.
Passphrase.
Blessed in spirit are the poor.
And blessed are those who possess. Why are you calling the burner phone?
Checking your progress. If you're going to get him anywhere, you're going to have to meet him on even ground.
I'm doing that, but he's not budging. I think that bullet to the head last time might have been overkill.
If you're going to get him to join us, you'll have to extend your time with him. The more things change, the more likely you'll pull him over to our side.
Short of starting a fistfight and beating it into him, I'm not sure what else will work.
I'll be sure to let the boss know you're struggling. Maybe he'll send over...
That won't be necessary. I can finish the mission without any further assistance.
Okay, since you're feeling so confident, I won't argue, but try not to waste any more of the boss's time. With the way things are going here, he'll likely want to expand his experiment further.
Trust me, one of them is enough. Now, you were saying?
I wanted to voice my concerns in a way that played into my talents, that allowed a better glimpse into my worldview. It got pretty popular fast.
True. In times of dire need, mobs of people will flock to anyone saying the end times are coming, or someone shouting not to trust those who hold the most power.
And isn't that okay? I mean, just look at what's been happening recently.
Before we go any further, I want to add a modifier to our activities today, if you'll give me a moment.
Okay.
Just a method of keeping score, nothing cheap or unfair, mind you. Trust me.
A plastic jar of bottle caps.
If either of us wins more games of chess than the other, the loser has to do whatever the winner wants them to do, no exceptions.
Fine. Not sure what I'll ask you to do, though. You kind of just show up unannounced.
Ah, talis qualis.
What?
Latin.
Oh. I only know enough Latin from Google searching phrases online. That sort of thing.
Forgive me, a habit from work. I'll at least try not to badmouth you in it. Bad manners. Shall we begin?
Okay.
So what is it that you're trying to do? The pursuit of societal reform, becoming a voice against cloaked tyranny or shadowy and ill-intentioned governments, people, tribes. It's a messy line of work. Even speaking on it publicly has made people disappear.
Speaking, the freedom of speech is the one thing we should not lose. It is inherently something we were born with as a species, rising from the primordial, from fires and cave paintings. Freedom of speech is connected at the hip to freedom of expression. Our identity is tied and bound to what we're willing to speak for, or speak against. History has shown what unregulated, truly free speech can do. It creates a substantial and easy-to-read boundary line between people you can get along with and others you cannot. Yet, take a look at modern times.
A world filled with divisiveness. Politics as a theater to situate, orient, point people of opposing ideologies into each other without regard of their shared underlining humanity.
Highly restricted language, conditioning to self-censor, to augment and filter our own speech according to rule sets, not to encourage safety or a healthier online environment, but as a forced, arbitrary restriction that only stifles expression and the delivery of truthful meaning.
So what does you speaking out accomplish? What does one more human rights advocate make in a world made into artificial bureaucracy? Or to phrase it more bluntly, what's one more self-proclaimed good guy on the internet in the face of a clearly daunting opposition?
The people I look up to are either gone already or aging fast. I'm aware these sorts of things run in cycles, and anybody would do anything to upset such a cycle. But if I'm to keep living my life and hold it together, I need to actually do something. And speaking on it, for now, is all I have. Excuse me?
I have to let you in on something. Your view isn't the consensus. To some, it's the end of the world, the end of human decency. To others, it's just another Saturday. You chose to speak up, and I applaud that. But often the noisiest animal is the easiest prey.
I get that. When I started, I wasn't expecting to get so much attention. I even chalked it up to being lucky.
It's awfully lucky of you to start speaking your mind and enlightening your fellow man just when your foreign country-controlled mobile app is being taken away. So sure you can't build a following anywhere else when you haven't even tried.
That's a fair point, I will admit. But I don't see why my first attempts have to be nullified simply because TikTok isn't strictly under control by solely Americans, or in the case for some, pure-blooded white Americans. The messenger is not important. We don't congratulate the carrier pigeon for taking part in delivering the message, but the merit of the words or the ideals the writer is trying to convey. And in this context, the only qualified pigeon is TikTok. The rest have clipped wings or wet beaks. The message distorts as a result of meddling that is constantly present and ever shifting to whatever is convenient, typically not to the writer's favor.
The systems you're claiming are stifling creators or a writer's message are the same ones that are preventing egregious examples of hate speech and intolerance. To pander to this idealism of free speech would be dangerous, most notably for those who run such online platforms.
That's the frustrating part about this. Censoring them doesn't do anything about the underlying problem. Hate groups are always going to exist, but not being able to properly critique them or to shine a more accurate light on them only helps them to remain in the shadows. It is unjustifiable that free speech has been filtered to such a state that we have to play a game of tightrope in order to address societal issues.
And then you have glorification of ignorance. The delivery of false narratives still exist under the current systems. People believe what they are told. It's considered weird to question the news, because, oh, of course, they wouldn't possibly lie to us. Right?
All of these issues, whether it be race, gender, left, right, Democrat, Republican, gay, straight, religious, or not, these issues really boil down to poor, rich, intelligent, or ignorant, empathy or apathy, trust or fear, equity or hoarding, fairness or self-indulgence, truth or convenience, good versus evil.
A shifting balance of everyone trying to wager, barter, and contend with their own self-importance, even to the extent of considering themselves chosen ones, when in actuality, no matter what man has said in the past, there are no chosen people, and there's only a doorway, a methodology that allows for apathy that is complacent to its own being. It's not me who's saying you should burn in hell. It is my God's ancient writing.
When not a single person can present substantial evidence to a living God taking pen to paper or chisel to stone, and only the echoed words of long-buried prophets, it's up to modern man to contend with an ancient idealism, or culture, to navigate the settings of the present world.
Talis qualis.
I can only suggest you find your own evidence, justify your God's existence with something that happened to you in your own life. Catch is, though, not everyone can attest to do this, and perspectives are different. Not everyone can claim to see holy influence, and it's not a job or a mission for you to convert or convince. Live and let live. That's the only way to true unity.
What does unity look like to you, then?
Racial diversity, lifestyle diversity, choice, options, no restrictions unless they are self-imposed. A mixture, like trail mix, variety, amorphous, androgynous, like water, a flowing, like the storage of sound on disks before the skips and static begin to take hold. It looks like free healthcare, and equal distribution of equitable resources without envy, a view of the entire picture. It looks like ego death, a brief escape of our worst qualities, rejection of the idealized, unreal concept of consensus perfection. It looks like breaking a cycle, but it's in fact building a new one.
Samsara.
That's not Latin?
We may very well be out of time for now, and I think we can just say it was a tie.
So how does that work?
2 small victories. We both win, we both lose. I want you to hold on to this for me. Only read it after I leave. Can you do that for me?
Okay, then what do I get?
I'll make it easy for you. Ask a burning question, no restrictions. I'll answer as far as my professional discretion allows.
Who are you?
Tu fui ego eres.